Just in case you're not aware, this is a little show known as Ups and Downs here on WhatCulture Wrestling, where basically we review professional wrestling TV shows. And given that WWE just gave us a brand new episode of Raw, well, boy howdy, I think it's time to go through that and see if it was an up or if it was a down. The concept is very simple. So do sit down, tuck yourself in, and get ready for a punch of powerful positivity courtesy of this bald moron. Let's do it. Let's up those downs, and remember to subscribe. Roman Reigns came out to start Raw as Corey Graves told us that the wild card is in full effect. Look, honestly, can we just stop that now? It's pointless, it's redundant. A wild card isn't having the same person arrive week in, week out. This is just Roman Reigns is now on Raw and Roman Reigns is now on SmackDown. Let's just call a spade a spade. Let's be honest with this, because it really is getting a bit long in the tooth. Also, don't pretend that we're actually going to kick off Raw a little bit differently and have a six-man tag team match, which was insinuated here, and instead have Shane McMahon interrupt Roman Reigns and do his whole best in the world bull crap. Look, I said it on either Raw or SmackDown last week, and I'll say it again. I am really bored of Shane McMahon. You booked him into the ground, and I don't want to see it anymore, and therefore it's getting a down. McMahon said he was going to tap out Reigns at this Friday's Super Showdown, and then Roman was like, oh, you better shut up. And then Drew McIntyre was there saying, hey, you and me, Roman, we're going to have a match at WWE Stomping Ground. And that's the first I've heard about that. And of course, then we got the same old, same old. Roman Reigns started to get beat down by the Revival and Drew McIntyre. Then the Usos came out to make the save. And finally, we could have this six-man tag team match. Like I say, that was Roman and the Usos taking on Drew McIntyre and the Revival. Yeah, it was all right. Giving up. McMahon got involved because of course he did, and that allowed the Revival to hit Jimmy on the outside with the Shatter Machine. Then Drew McIntyre hit Jay with the Claymore kick in the ring, and that's where the 1, 2, 3 happened afterwards. We just couldn't be done with it, could we, WWE? Had to do more stuff with Shane McMahon, and he got his new buddies to hold up Roman Reigns, and Shane gave him the spear. Oh, I can't believe it, he gave him his own move. I never understood why that's insulting. I know that right now in 2019, Roman's supposed to be the master of the spear. Shane McMahon can still do one. I don't care. I don't know what Miz TV was meant to be this week, so I'm just going to run through it and you can make up your own mind, but also it's getting it down. Miz arrived and I think he said, Texas, let's get weird, baby. And then Seth Rollins arrived and they had a little conversation about Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, and Baron Corbin. It was like reading a rundown sheet. They reminded everyone that it is Seth versus Baron at Super Showdown and that Brock and Heyman have said they will turn up this evening to cash in their Money in the Bank briefcase. But of course, those two never tell the truth. They're liars, so why should we believe them? Heyman and Lesnar were then shown on the big screen arriving at the arena, but rather than walk to the ring, they just went somewhere else. And by the time we got back to the squared circle, Seth just shrugged his shoulders and he walked off too. I mean, what was that? Maybe Brock was just going to the loo. He'd probably just had a big ride, and yet here, this was just, it was nothing. Nothing happened. It didn't go anywhere, and nothing happened. It was literally just there in case you'd missed all the social media nonsense for the week, and now WWE was trying to catch you up. Also, what the hell happened to The Miz? Why aren't you mad at Shane McMahon anymore, Miz? Now, you're just hosting your talk show, and as we got told on commentary, are going to be in that stupid big battle royal at Super Showdown. The Lucha House Party then fought off Lars Sullivan to prove that he can be gone at, but of course Lars will get his revenge on Friday at that stinking pay-per-view where he has a match with them and he'll just utterly destroy them all, because of course he will. Down. Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross and the Iconics were also having a big argument backstage, because we are going to get Nikki Cross versus Peyton Royce later, although very lovingly we also found out that Alexa and Nikki Cross are now friends. And it's nice to have friends. Now look, I did like the Becky Lynch promo, but boy howdy has this whole situation got incredibly complicated, but for now, give it up. The man admitted that ever since getting everything she wanted at WrestleMania, she has become complacent and overly content, and that is not the way a fighter has to be, because when you enter that stage, you stop kicking ass, and maybe that's why she lost her title to Charlotte Flair. She also blamed Lacey Evans for all of that, as she should, because Lacey Evans got involved. But now she has realized this, and it's time to go back to beating everybody up. Nice. Lacey Evans then came out for a little while and said words just like that. because that's how she talks, until Charlotte Flair was also there, and this is where things utterly broke down, because what am I meant to take away from this? Because Charlotte and Lacey hate each other, and Becky hates both of them, and there's no love lost between all three of them, and I think Becky's the face and the two are the heels, even though the two heels also hate each other. These two then had a match, and it went around about 10 minutes before Becky Lynch decided, meh, I'm bored of this now, and she attacked Charlotte, causing the DQ. And why does Becky Lynch care who wins in a match between Lacey Evans and Charlotte Flair? She should want to see them beat the living hell out of each other. And again, why did you wait so long, Becky? If you're going to do this, ding, 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 beat the crap out of both of them. This was just stupid down. I just absolutely love Samoa Joe, though. This you already know, but regardless what you give him, he always comes out looking and sounding and feeling like an absolute killer, and that's what he did here during Rey Mysterio relinquishing the US Championship. Give it an up. It was nice and simple too. Rey admitted that he had got injured, so he was going to have to give up his championship, but deep down he feels okay about this because he knows his son Dominic is also training to become a wrestler, so no matter what happens to Mysterio in the future, his legacy will continue. Then Samoa Joe arrived on the scene, he walked out on the ramp, and he said to Rey, "Sorry Rey, I heard the word champion and presumed that was my cue." Samoa Joe, man, what just an amazing human being. He accused Rey of giving all this up because he was scared of Joe, and as soon as Rey had announced that he was giving the title back to the Samoan one, he absolutely kicked his ass. I mean, Samoa Joe looked like a shark that had smelled some blood. Joe held the title aloft, and that was that. He's now the US champion, and hopefully we can put him in a good feud. And also all the best wishes and all the love, I guess, to Rey Mysterio. I do hope you get better soon. Injuries suck. We got a couple of promos from Ricochet and Cesaro setting up their rematch for later on. It was actually a match on Raw that made perfect sense. Also, everybody wants to see this, so happy days. Although Cesaro's selfie promo was especially odd because he had to deliver it so fast. I think before he pushed record, someone had gone, like a production guy, gone, "Look, Cesaro, we're running out of time. You've got to do this quick." It went like this. "I know we both want to match Ricochet, but now I'm going to find you later on. I'm going to beat your ass, then I'll be the one up and you're the one that loses. The end done." Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley then had an arm wrestling contest, and you're straight away thinking, oh my gosh, that sounds like a disaster. But you know what? It was actually all right. Didn't go very long. It was nice and simple. It set up their match for the Super Showdown. Again, it's going down in a few days, but no one cares because it's a stupid event to begin with. But yeah, Bobby Lashley teased he wasn't going to do it, then they did, then he lost, and then Bobby used that as a distraction as Braun was celebrating to throw some chalk in his face. He gave him the running power slam. They both walked off. I mean, it was utterly harmless. I could deal with that more. If you want to do segments like that, just breeze through. You can have it up. I mean, I still don't really care about this feud, but it was over quicker than Mojo Rawley deciding that he wants to draw some blue goop on his face. We then saw the video that WWE had uploaded to its YouTube channel yesterday where R-Truth was on a golf course and lost the 24/7 title to Jinder Mahal, but don't worry, he won it right back. And then we cut to backstage and Carmella was sneaking around and she was looking for Truth, but she was being stalked by EC3 Drake and a referee. And I do want to say that throughout all of this, EC3 looked like he'd rather be in a sock drawer than have anything to do with this. Also, Drake Maverick was being super creepy because he was basically like, look, if we follow Carmella, we'll find Truth. Again, that just doesn't sound very good now, does it? Now, I should give Nikki Cross with Alexa Bliss in her corner, taking on Peyton Royce and Billie Kay in her corner, a down, but I'm not going to because I really enjoyed the finish like the idiot that I am. Give it up. The match was the dumb part as it all revolved around the fact that Alexa Bliss got a coffee delivered halfway through. I mean, for some reason, that annoyed Peyton Royce and they started spilling it around the place. And because they were spilling liquid around the place, Nikki Cross was able to hit her net breaker and get the win. So in these fictional history books that WWE goes on about all the time, it will literally say Nikki Cross won via coffee distraction. However, Bliss went absolutely nuts afterwards and beat up the Iconics, so I can only presume this is an Alexa Bliss face turn, and not only am I ready for that, but given the response from the crowd, they are ready for that as well. And I know it's only going to go one of two ways. Either Bliss is setting up Nikki Cross and will turn on her down the line, or maybe we're actually going to segue into a tag team feud with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, take on the Iconics for those belts. Not the worst idea in the world. However, I do have to be a bit of a pedant because clearly a few weeks ago, this was not the plan at all. The plan was going to be Becky Lynch and Nikki Cross going after the tag team championships, but as per usual, WWE just took that idea, stuffed it into their mouths, crapped it out, and threw it over there. I don't mind this change, but I hate it when there's no explanation. And for that reason, you're getting this guy today. That little bit is going to get it down. But like I said, I did enjoy all of this, and if this is now a firm direction we go in, I'm alright with it. I don't know if I did or did not enjoy what was next, however. Seth Rollins was back out because he presumed that Brock Lesnar was finally ready to cash in his Money in the Bank. Well, let's just go through it. Seth wanted Lesnar to just get out there so he could get it over and done with, but instead, he got Baron Corbin. And I guess it's fair that Baron Corbin came out because he does have a Universal title shot at Super Showdown, and he wanted to remind the man that burns things down that it is going to happen and that he will win said championship. In response, Seth Rollins said, "The only way that will go down is if you pull it from my cold, dead hands." And I was like, all right, Seth, calm down. Also, then Baron made himself a right idiot because he said, "Seth, I don't know what you're saying. Don't forget, though, I'm the guy that retired Kurt Angle." Baron, you do know that death and retirement aren't the same thing. I hope you don't go to like funerals and go, "So sorry about your retirement." That's the equivalent of like someone coming up to me and asking how I am, and I go, "It's over there." And I just chuck my arm in the corner. Throughout all of this, Lesnar's music did keep hitting, and that was a little annoying to be honest, but it distracted Seth enough that Baron was able to hit the end of days, and that is where the Beast made his arrival. Now I want to say this, I want to point this out. This was a very well done skit, and for the first time in ages, Brock reminded me of the monster, the Beast, that he used to be back in the day. He looked like he wanted to kill him. And he really did beat him down as well. We got a low blow, which I especially liked, because that tied into their WrestleMania 35 match, and he was hitting him with chairs and gave him an absolute brutal shot with the Money in the Bank briefcase, which sadly is no longer a boombox. It was an annihilation, and actually made Rollins look a bit like a chump, to be honest, but that was doubly true when Brock Lesnar refused to cash in. So what is even the point? Heyman begged him to do so, but instead Brock looked back at his advocate and just kept going, "Friday, Friday," as if he thought a man called Friday was going to come out and sort the situation out. So for starters, you're already playing boy who cried wolf with your audience, because this is the third week in the row that you've promised will have some kind of a cash-in, and then you haven't delivered. So that's bad, because eventually this is what your fans are going to do. "Oh, I could tune in to watch WWE because maybe Brock will cash in, but I doubt he will because I've been screwed over 3 weeks in a row. Screw it, I'll just read it on the internet." But also, what am I meant to believe in here? Because I'm seeing Brock Lesnar standing over a fallen Seth Rollins who got beaten up so badly that he had to be carried out there on a stretcher and took an ambulance to a local medical facility. So I guess that Brock Lesnar doesn't care about the Universal Championship, he doesn't care about the Money in the Bank contract, but he doesn't care. How am I meant to care? And I do get it, this is a bad guy thing to do and he's flipping off the fans at the same time, but there's no logic to it. There's no justification and there's no reason. And again, this was all really well done, and some of the shots will make you go, he got absolutely smashed. When you dig in and you swim through it, you can't pull any logic from it. Like I said, there's no justification. It was just kind of done for the sake of doing it, and I don't want to see Brock Lesnar cash in at Super Showdown. I want to see him cash in here. Maybe Brock thought, "Oh no, I don't want to cash in on Seth Rollins and win, because then I've got to fight Baron Corbin." I understand that. I wouldn't want to fight Baron Corbin either. But hey ho, as much as I did enjoy it, from like, again, logic's the only word I can use. From a logic point of view, it's got to get it down. Interestingly too, Becky Lynch accompanied Seth Rollins in that ambulance to the local medical facility, meaning that's the first time that relationship has been acknowledged on TV. I know they did it to make it look like, oh, it's real. And the commentators did their low voices like, "Oh no, something really bad has happened, and therefore all emotion has to leave our tone." But you know, at least they tried. This week's Firefly Funhouse, though, may be the best thing I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. And if you've never seen it, you've got to go watch it now. Please, just do that for me. Do it for your old boy Simon. You had a Vince McMahon puppet that wanted to fire Bray Wyatt. You had, was it Huskus the Gluttonous Pig? Which was obviously a take on Bray Wyatt's old Husky Harris character. And that stupid rat was a DJ. And at one point, Bray Wyatt was doing a dance break. And all of this was surrounded because Wyatt wanted people to get in shape. He even did a dance, I think it was called the Muscle Man dance. He was like, "Do the Muscle Man dance." And he had like a fanny pack or a bum bag on. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Again, go watch it, and hell yeah, you know it's getting it up. We then had the big face-off between Randy Orton and Triple H, and while all of this is dumb because it's only happening because of Super Showdown, and we have to have a bunch of old school legends on the show, look, they do come across like stars, which is WWE's major problem right now, and they did have some kick-ass lines. I smiled throughout it. It can have it up. They did the usual shtick, and the only line you need to know about is when no craps Randy Orton looked at Triple H and said, "Look, before Friday, I just want you to do one thing. Take your balls out of Stephanie McMahon's purse. Triple H laughed and reacted to that like he wasn't expecting it, said he had really big balls, so somebody had to carry them around, and also that the master of the RKO didn't have any balls at all. Again, this was there because it had to be. You had to do some build before Friday, but it was very good, and it gets a mini round of applause too. Baron Corbin then talked for a while, and he's really glad that Lesnar kicked Rollins' ass. Good, cool, excellent. I absolutely loved Ricochet versus Cesaro, though. I loved it so much, if I could, I would marry it, and I'd introduce my new fiance, my new wife, my new whatever, as proud as I possibly could. Give it an up. For starters, this match was actually pitched as being important, and it wasn't overly complicated. We just kept being told Cesaro's 1-1, Ricochet is 1-1, so this is the rubber match. Whoever gets the victory here will probably go on to do good things. That's all I need, WWE. Treat it like a sport, make me invest in the characters, put on a damn good match, which these two did, and you tick all the boxes. Now, I was slightly frustrated with the finish because once again, we weren't allowed to have Ricochet hit one of his big moves, and he has so many big moves, and we had to do a surprise roll-up, and that absolutely sucks because how many surprise roll-ups can we see on one television show? So while I am glad that Ricochet won and I keep everything crossed, this means big things are ahead, that one little bit, I've got to do it. I've got to stand up against this nonsense like a superhero that has to get it down. The real joy, however, aside from, like I say, the match itself, which was brilliant, was the aftermath. Cesaro could not believe that he'd lost, so he went around and he started to beat up Ricochet, including going to the outside to get some weapons. But when he pulled a table from out under the ring, guess who was lying on it? That's right, it was R-Truth, who'd been hiding there the entire evening to make sure he hadn't lost his 24/7 championship. R-Truth, my friends, is an absolute treasure, and I think every day at 3:16, no, not 3, it's a terrible time, 4:22, at 4:22, we should all just stand up and go, R-Truth. That man is just a pleasure. Throughout all this fracas, Ricochet was able to hit Cesaro and get away, as all those geeks that love the 24/7 championship came into the ring to try and beat R-Truth because they fought each other instead. Truth thought he could get away. He bumped into Drake Maverick. Carmella gave him a super kick. Truth and Carmella live to fight another day. This was just, well, I was sports entertained. I said it, disgusting. I was very, very entertained. Just do more like this, WWE. Had a great match, the match meant something, and afterwards, we all just had a bunch of fun. Undertaker was then out to finish the show and hype his match with Goldberg as Super Showdown, and yes, that is officially the weirdest fight in history. You wanted Undertaker versus Sting, but you don't get that in WWE. You get Undertaker versus Goldberg. And look, we can't be too down on this. You know, is the Undertaker on Raw? It's always exciting. So let's just be honest. You loved it. I loved it. We all loved it to a certain extent. He's a legend. Give it up. He only cut a promo here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it word for word exactly like he said it. And you tell me what on earth he was going on about, because I got no clue. I'll try and do it in the Undertaker voice as well, but as you can probably tell, I lost my voice. So it's only just coming back and it hurts. But he went, "Do you ever wonder what happens when you become face to face with death for the very first time? Does the sky grow dark? Does the ground begin to rip open at your feet? Or do you choke at the stench of the souls already gone? Goldberg! This Friday you will get the answers to all these questions. But when I stand across the ring for the very first time, I don't want the Goldberg, the family man, smiling as his wife and son look up smiling with joy. No, I want the unstoppable, mythical, icon, Goldberg! And I promise you this, if you bring anything less, our first match will be your last. I will open the gates of hell and unleash an inhumane level of brutality for which you have never felt. When the Reaper beckons, you answer his call. I will claim your soul for all of eternity. Goldberg, you're next." That is verbatim, that is. What the flip is that? Also, I'm 99% sure Goldberg has never asked any of those questions. Listen, he has. Bill, you got some problems. No one goes, I wonder if like the gates of hell open and take my soul away when I die. I can't wait to find that out. Anyway, you're getting that Super Showdown. That's how Raw ended. Look, it was an okay show. The Saudi Arabia pay-per-views are always an issue because morally they're completely bankrupt, but there was enough on this to keep me interested and entertained for 3 hours. It wasn't perfect, it's not perfect, but I think, you know, a couple of weeks ago when Raw completely blew up in all our faces, at least this was somewhat entertaining. Again, not perfect, that's why it can get an up overall. If nothing else, R-Truth have done that for me. I laughed and I laughed and I laughed, but let's just get this Friday out of the way Hopefully we can make some good feuds. And again, look at Cesaro versus Ricochet. You did that in 3 weeks, WWE. You can do it again. I believe in you. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Raw. Like, share, and subscribe. Head on to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE. And watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you very much for watching. And always remember, I'm a positive Pete. I'm always going to look on the bright side of life. And also, I've got some calendar diary entries for you. Tomorrow we've got Ups and Downs for SmackDown. Wednesday we've got Ups and Downs for Best of the Super Juniors. That's also tomorrow just released. But it's the final, so we've got to do that. And then on Friday, you're damn right, I understand my job. I know what I got to do. And we'll up those downs for the weirdest card in all of time, WWE Super Showdown. I will see you soon.